Pete Hegseth says right there, I stand by the decisions he has made. Look at this blaming of responsibility. He has made? You're just saying, yeah, he did it. He did it. All right, Pete Hegseth is getting desperate, and I've never seen anything like this. Investigations into his alleged war crimes continue to mount, basically mainly led by Republicans who want to get to the bottom of his abuse of power at the Pentagon. But Pete Hegseth had the genius idea of blaming the people beneath him, shirking responsibility down to an admiral who was beneath him at the Pentagon. He's essentially saying, the buck does not stop with me. It doesn't stop with Donald Trump, who is the commander-in-chief. The buck stops conveniently with the person right beneath me, who is Admiral Bradley. Both Caroline Leavitt and Pete Hegseth seem to be blaming Admiral Bradley in a coordinated manner, and Donald Trump directly contradicted what they're saying 24 hours ago. On Air Force One, Trump was saying there isn't a double tap. There was never a second strike, and there wouldn't need to be one. Then Caroline Leavitt walked out today and in a scripted manner contradicted that. Let me walk you all through the timeline, starting a little bit earlier than most people start. I found this screenshot from September where J.D. Vance says, killing cartel members who poison our fellow citizens is the highest and best use of our military. This was before we knew about the Pete Hegseth controversy, right? We just thought that due process was a problem. Brian Krasenstein says, killing the citizens of another nation who are civilians without any due process is called a war crime. J.D. Vance says, I don't give a shit what you call it. That laid the groundwork for the story that we then got from the Washington Post that read, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth gave a verbal directive. Quote, the order was to kill everybody, someone said, with direct knowledge of the operation. A missile screamed off the Trinidad coast. For minutes, commanders watched the boat burning on a live drone feed, and then they saw two survivors clinging to the smoldering wreck. The Special Operations Commander overseeing the September 2nd attack, the opening salvo in the Trump administration's war on drug traffickers, suspected drug traffickers, alleged drug traffickers, we don't really know. They ordered a second strike to comply with Hegseth's instructions. The two men were then blown apart in the water. Pete Hegseth immediately tried to discredit this by calling it fake news and saying, as usual, the fake news is delivering more fabricated, inflammatory, derogatory reporting. Trump then comes out, and on Air Force One he says, Pete Hegseth assured me this didn't happen. There was no second strike. Donald Trump assured the American people there was no second strike, but like clockwork, he lied, and Caroline Leavitt comes out and contradicts him. Pete Hegseth is then memeing online, on Twitter, saying, Franklin targets narco-terrorists. This was him being cocky. Just the night before, Caroline Leavitt comes out and tries to throw Admiral Bradley under the bus. Take a listen to this question. Take a listen to the admission that has racked up millions of views here, and then the diversion of responsibility over to Admiral Bradley. It is a stunning sequence of events in the White House briefing room here. And by the way, make sure you drop a like. Good morning to everybody. I hope you're enjoying a nice cup of coffee, and subscribe to the Adam Mockler feed.
Thank you. Gabe.
Thank you, Caroline. Excuse me. Regarding Venezuela, the president said yesterday that Secretary Hegseth had denied that second strike, that reported second strike on an alleged drug boat on September 2nd. The secretary said to the president that didn't happen. But to clarify, I just wanted you to clear this up. In his social media post, Secretary Hegseth didn't go into details about that strike. He just said U.S. operations in the area were lawful, and he said that the story and media reports were fabricated. So to be clear, does the administration deny that second strike happened, or did it happen and the administration denies that Secretary Hegseth gave the order?
The latter is true, Gabe, and I have a statement to read for you here.
Okay, so the latter is true. So the strike happened. She then goes into a pre-prepared statement from a lawyer to minimize risk.
President Trump and Secretary Hegseth have made it clear that presidentially designated narco-terrorist groups are subject to lethal targeting in accordance with the laws of war. With respect to the strikes in question on September 2nd, Secretary Hegseth authorized Admiral Bradley to conduct these kinetic strikes. Admiral Bradley worked well within his authority and the law, directing the engagement to ensure the boat was destroyed.
Okay, so they're essentially introducing a new player as the star, the lightning rod, the person who is going to take all of the attention and the heat away. Somebody then follows up and says, wait a minute, so you're saying Admiral Bradley is the one who's responsible.
So that's why you've seen a drastic difference in this administration's policy with respect to the last, and it's one of the many reasons the American public reelected this president and support this Secretary of War in conducting these strikes.
So to be clear, to clarify, Admiral Bradley was the one who gave that order for a second strike.
And he was well within his authority to do so.
And a separate question, the president.
A huge dodge there. Quote, he was well within his authority to do so. This is where Pete Hegseth comes in with the big bomb. Pete Hegseth posted on December 1st that quickly raked up 1 million views on X. He said, quote, let's make one thing crystal clear. And really quickly, in this, he just throws Admiral Bradley under the bus and is essentially like, let's make one thing clear. Admiral Bradley, I stand with him. I don't care what he did wrong. I'm going to stand with him till the end. Good day, Admiral Bradley. He says, let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him and the combat decisions he has made on the September 2nd mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it. This is like when my friend and I were playing baseball and I broke a window of the neighbor's house. And when the neighbor's father comes out, I'm like, I stand with my friend. I don't care what my friend did. Whatever he did, we both own up to it. It's like, yo, you're the one that did it. Senator Chris Murphy immediately calls us out on CNN. Take a listen.
So Secretary Hegseth has just posted something that I wanted to ask you about. He said, let's make one thing crystal clear. Admiral Mitch Bradley is an American hero, a true professional, and has my 100% support. I stand by him in the combat decisions he has made on the September 2nd mission and all others since. America is fortunate to have such men protecting us. When this Department of War says we have the back of our warriors, we mean it.
I mean, listen, Pete Hegseth says right there, I stand by the decisions he has made. Look at this blaming of responsibility he has made. You're just saying, yeah, he did it. He did it.
Okay, let me just translate this into he's pinning this on Bradley. Okay, he's saying that's what that's about, right? I mean, where do you see this headed?
He is passing the buck. He sort of sees the freight train that is coming, right? That both Republicans and Democrats are coming to the conclusion that this was an illegal, wildly immoral act, and he is shifting the blame. It's the opposite of the buck stops here. And boy, it's a chilling signal to everyone in the chain of command that the Secretary of Defense does not have your back. Now, in this case, it seems likely that he actually did give the order, that he gave the order to kill everyone on that boat, and that those in the chain of command were simply following his orders. But he is basically telling everyone, all of his generals, all of the professional staff of the Department of Defense, that I'm going to save myself if things get tough.
It's almost even worse than that. So they've spent the past month freaking out about this illegal order video. Maybe it's been like 2 to 3 weeks, but the point stands. So they're essentially saying, we will give out illegal orders and expect you to follow those illegal orders. But then when push comes to shove, we're going to make sure that you fall on the knife and take the responsibility for this illegal order. And we are going to say that we had nothing to do with it. We're actually going to push it down the chain of command. It's like the most brazen hypocrisy ever. Never in my life have I seen someone go from the fake news is delivering fabricated, inflammatory, derogatory reporting to then saying the decisions that he has made, I stand by. It is just a disgusting shirking of responsibility. And Senator Chris Murphy points it out perfectly. You're going to command people to commit war crimes and then not have their back. I mean, you shouldn't do that in the first place, of course. But then you're going to be spineless enough to ditch them afterwards. A disgusting display from Pete Hegseth, who 1 year ago was a Fox News host, which, listen, there's no problem with that. I do political commentary as well. That's fine. But you can't act like you are this cocky Department of War secretary when 1 year ago you were an inexperienced Fox News host who doesn't know how to act in an executive position. Leadership is hard. Leadership is incredibly hard. You got to keep a lot of spinning pieces together. Pete Hegseth is figuring that out. I love you all. I'll see you in the next one. Peace out.